time to be the GOAT. It's time to enter God mode, man, let's get it going. I wanna be the greatest, energy is overflowing. I know I'm stoking the fire, my desire's taking over, not time.
Okay, you beautiful friends, welcome back to the back of the semi-truck, and it's that time once again. You could tell by the thumbnail, you could tell by the title. We are about to be sitting back and talking about My Little Pony again, and this time around we are going to be talking about Generation 5. Now, in the first attempt at this intro I was recording, I said Gen 6. I don't know why I was saying it, but once I realized what I was doing, I scrapped it, and I was like, you know what? Quit thinking about the future and what might happen with that. Let's go ahead and talk about Gen 5, because in the last My Little Pony video that we did around here, talking about Twilight's unhappy ending that she might have had, if that makes sense on the way I worded that. But in that video, there was a comment left about, their headcanon and how certain things, could fit together and stuff like that. And then they ended it by mentioning the G5 Bible that was leaked roughly 6 months ago as of recording this. I didn't know anything about the G5 Bible. So I was like, you know what? Let's go find us a video going over the highlights and we can talk about it together. So, with that said, I found this video. Good gosh, I cannot get words out of my mouth today. I was about to say video. But nonetheless, I found this video from New Leaf. Now, I have seen a couple of their videos. I'm a little bit familiar with them. Not fully familiar, but a little bit. They're going to go over this. It's 14 minutes long. Y'all know the drill by now. If you've been around commentary videos, there's going to be play, stop, commentate, all that good stuff. Y'all know the drill by now. So, as per usual, I'll have it linked down below, his original video. And then I'll also have his channel linked down below as well, as a just-in-case measure as to, hey, maybe I want to go check out more of his videos and stuff like that. So, yeah. As far as my slurring, I have driven a lot of miles today, and it is rainy outside, and it's just like one of those days where it's just like, blah. So, yeah, I apologize about that, but nonetheless, I should put these headphones on, and that means we need to get into this and see what things could have been with Generation 5. So, without running my mouth any longer, let's do this in 3, 2, 1, and play.
Hey everybody, New Leaf here. So today we're going to take a look at this script.
Pause. Okay, so when I paused it, I was hoping to be able to read his screen just then, and I know I am already pausing it. I apologize, but at the same time, we know how commentary videos go. Plus, on top of that, if you skip the intro and jump to about the 3-minute mark where we are now, go ahead and jump down to the description. Check out his channel with the links provided below in the description and in the pinned comment, or go straight to his original video and then come on back over here after you watch that for full context and all that good stuff. And of course, as per usual, since YouTube loves to hear this kind of stuff, hit the like and leave a comment down below and all that good stuff. But I wanted to stop and read his screen. I missed what the previous one was, but what I've got on my screen now is My Little Pony G5 Series Bible, 3rd draft, A/O 6/14/21 by Gillian Berrow. A show about how each of us can find our sparkle and make our mark on the world by growing our unique talents together. So, I guess that's the header of whatever's happening. Let me shut up, though. Let's let him continue, because I don't normally pause within the first 5 seconds. I normally give it about 30 seconds, so let's try that. Let's give it 30 seconds and play.
Called the Series Bible for My Little Pony Generation 5 by Gillian Berrow. And we're going to take a look at some of the highlights, some of the things that may have planned, some of the things that tell us more about the story. So let's dive in. In no way are we going to read through all 36 pages, but we're just going to go over the highlights. So the first interesting thing, of course, is how the film establishes this continuation after Generation 4. The stories of friendship and magic being important for Sunny because she's sort of been taught this by Argyle, who doesn't make any more appearances, but his ideals live on through Sunny, and that is important for the series overview. So going into here, we have a series overview where they talk about how important it is that these ponies all live together, the main five, being quite different than what we've seen in the previous generation.
Balls. Okay. So far, I did want to pause and, of course, interject because what's a commentary video without an interjection? But right now, we're not really getting any new information and gleaning anything from that. But he does have this highlighted. Living together for the first time, the ponies must navigate a new normal living in a society that has recently undergone a massive life-changing shift. The relatability of this new reality is the perfect springboard to tell relatable, fresh stories. Now, I do agree that this is a new way of going about this because, yes, our main five are living together all in the Bright House. So they are all living together. It's a little bit different than when Twilight had her own place, Fluttershy had hers, Applejack had hers, and so on and so forth. But in the end of G4, no, they still had their own place. I was going to consider like the table, but that was more of a meeting place than anything. So I will give credit there. That does give a unique spin, but that doesn't really. It's a different spin. That's all I can really say. I don't know how it really gives a springboard to tell new, fresh, relatable stories because there's not usually 5 different people living together all in one house. That's not that relatable, other than if you consider family living together. You know, you can't really equate family with your, y'all know what I'm saying. Let's continue this and blah.
And going further along down here, they talk a little bit about the environments, Maretime Bay, Bridlewood, Zephyr Heights, and how their individual backstories are going to be important as well for the ponies, whether it is sheriff duties for Hitch or smoothie cart ownership for Sunny. All those things are going to be sort of focuses, but let's go a little bit further into the series style and summary here. So we see the structure where it says 22 minutes, so this is very likely focusing on Make Your Mark rather than the 5 minutes that we would have expected from Tell Your Tale. So keep that in mind as we go forward.
Okay, I wish I would have been able to pause right when I saw that map because I feel like that would have been such a better pausing moment. But when it comes to the 22-minute mark, I don't know if they actually held true to that or not, because it was on Netflix. And I know some episodes could have been shorter, some could have been longer. I'm not 100% sure, but let's go ahead and get a preview of what he's about to say. The theme is what he's got highlighted here. Friendship is magic. Is all caps, but the magic starts within you. Our ponies draw strength from their friendship, but they are also each on their own path to learn about who they are, how they sparkle, and how they are going to make their mark on the world. When we are being our best selves, we can make new magic together. I don't know. I get the whole sparkle thing. I like it, but at the same time, I mean, what I feel like that little spot right there is conveying is yes, friendship is magic. The friendship is, but it's going to start only with you first. So the whole, it starts with you, kind of takes away from the friendship aspect, the togetherness aspect. I feel like but that's just a little snippet of a paragraph. So I can't really judge it by just that alone. And I understand he also has Maretime Bay highlighted, but yeah, that's just because it's home of the Earth ponies. Let's continue.
Let's go down further. The theme is an important one. Friendship is magic, but the magic starts with you. Our ponies draw strength from their friendship, but they also each on their own learn more about who they are, how they sparkle, and when they are together and are their best selves, they can make new magic, and that is important. So let's go over the environment that they have. We're going to start with Maretime Bay. Maretime Bay and the Earth Ponies go together. Then, of course, going further along, we have Zephyr Heights and the Pegasus Ponies being technologically advanced. And finally, we have Bridlewood as the home of the unicorns. And here it says something that is not so much mentioned in the movie, and that is that unicorns like art. The most we see is like a few poems, those kind of things, but like art galleries and all those things, we don't see that in the unicorn universe.
Falls. Okay, so I'm still not getting nothing new from this little show Bible here. I know we're only 2 minutes and 32 seconds into his video, and it's no knock against his video by no means. He's only conveying the information that he's given, but this little Bible isn't giving us any new information. I feel like it feels like it's literally just showing us what the show is about. It's not like, hey, this is the original designs for them. Hey, this is what this could have been. Because, yes, the art loving unicorn aspect wasn't something that was shown in the movie, but it was stuff that was shown in the show. So, this isn't something new or anything like that. So, yeah. I don't know. Let's play.
But what really happened to Equestria? This is when it gets interesting. We have the backstory, and it all begins with Opaline, who was determined to take over the kingdom and rule as she saw fit after Twilight Sparkle had been reigning for 200 years. That is
False. Okay. We're finally getting some info. What really happened to Equestria? Backstory. I know he just read it, but I'm rereading it just for my own, just to kind of take it all in. During Princess Twilight Sparkle's 200 moon reign. Now, how many, moons equals a year? I don't quite know. I mean, do we consider each month as a moon? So I'm not 100% sure. Maybe that's 200 years. Maybe it's not. I don't know if I can agree with them. Y'all let me know down in the comments. What's 200 moons mean? But either way, 200 moon reign. Equestria faced its biggest threat yet, a super villain who planned to take all the ponies' magic and use it against them. The evil alicorn named Opaline was determined to win, take over the kingdom, and rule as she saw fit. Unlike Princess Celestia, Luna, Twilight, and Cadence, Opaline believed that all unicorns were I don't know what's after that, but we're going to find out together. So, that tells us primarily, okay, we know a lot of this, but 200 moon reign. I feel like I didn't know about that. And Opaline, she wanted to take all magic, not just a little bit here and there, maybe a little bit from the princesses and a little bit from over here. She wanted it all. So, yeah. And then we're about to find out more about, what the sentence was cut off that I can't read. So,
when Opaline started to kick into things. She wanted to take over as the new ruler who wants to do things differently. She believed alicorns were superior, that is important, because they cared about friendship and cleaning up magical messes of the other ponies. She thought that was not what's supposed to happen, and that's why she began to try and use her powers to lure and trap ponies and take their magical abilities.
Pause. Oh, darn it. I paused right after the screen went over to the next screen. So that kind of sucks, but because I like to read things again for myself, because yes, listening to it, I absorb it, but at the same time, when I reread it after hearing it, for some reason, it really sinks in for me. So yeah, she saw her, pretty much in a nutshell, she saw alicorns, which is what she is, as superior, blah, blah, blah. Y'all know how all that just goes. So, nonetheless, then she's kind of like, hey, I should be ruling since y'all think y'all are on par, y'all at the same level as everybody else, even though we alicorns, why are y'all fixing all these regular ponies, messes when we better than them? In a gist is what she thinks. But so that I can, since I'm paused right here, so that I can absorb it before he tells us, I'm going to go ahead and read this with y'all really, really fast. What I've got here on the screen, he's got it red highlighted. After moons of unrest, Twilight Sparkle and her trusted friends, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Applejack, and Fluttershy, were finally able to free the trapped ponies, defeat Opaline, and restore magic to the world. To make sure that all the magic never again fell into the wrong hooves, Twilight Sparkle made a difficult decision. She performed a complicated and dangerous spell, gathering all the world's magic and placing it into 3 crystals. All magic. She grabbed it all and she placed it into those 3 crystals at the Bright House. Okay. So I still don't like that idea. It kind of sounds stupid, if I'm being honest. But it is what it is. And then, second paragraph here, Twilight tasked her friends with the sacred responsibility of protecting the crystals and the magic they contained. She asked them to take the crystals to the wilds of unexplored Equestria, farther than any pony had ever traveled. There the ponies would remain, dedicating their lives to protecting the magic in a far away place. So, what I'm going to do, I've got it in my head, but I want to hear his thoughts after me reading that before I jump into it and actually say, hey, this is my thoughts. I'm going to let New Leaf here say what they're going to say, and then I'm going to pause it again. So let's do that, and then I'll mention what I'm saying, what I'm thinking about that spot.
After many moons of unrest and things going horribly, Twilight Sparkle and her friends were able to free those trapped ponies and defeat Opaline and restore magic. And to make sure that that never happened again, she made the crystals and she tasked her friends to spread them every pony. So this is something that happened between G4 and Generation 5. Very important to hear. And as it says here at the bottom of this red section, that she tasked her friends to go to unexplored parts of Equestria, further than any ponies ever traveled. So locations that are further away from the areas that we see in Generation 4, and settle there, put the crystals there, put the ponies there, and
pause. Because he's already on another page, I had to go ahead and pause because he's really not giving the thoughts that I thought he would. He's just giving information more than anything. And that's fine and dandy. I don't mind just getting the information given to me. But just to throw a few thoughts out there about the fact that Twilight, here's what I can't, for some reason in my head, I can't understand the thought process of Twilight saying, hey, y'all are just regular everyday ponies. I get it. We've all been on adventures and stuff like that. But y'all take these crystals. There's 3 of them. Y'all take these and take them to the ends of the earth. Well, ends of Equestria. And take them to the most remote place ever possible. And granted, somehow that they end up in the Bright House. We understand that, we saw what happened to get everything there. in the movie, but take it to a distant, faraway land and just protect it. Okay, I get that, but Twilight, you live a lot longer than the other ponies do. So why not lock them away in your castle? Because at this point, she had to have her own castle. Lock them away. Don't let nobody get them. It's your castle. You're an alicorn. Protect it. They're regular unicorns, earth ponies, and all that. They're just regular ponies. Pegasus. They're regular. Why do that? I don't know. Either way, though, maybe we'll get like an answer to that. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But one thing I do know is he's already on another page, so I want to go ahead and read this because I feel like he's not going to really. But I'm going to let him tell us what it says as opposed to me trying to read it. So, plus Twilight's in my way, so I can't read everything. The only thing I can read is Earth Ponies, Pinkie Pie and Applejack took their crystal. Oh my gosh. And then that actually. I'm going to let him say it.
Make the protective bubble to keep them safe from Opaline. That was an important one because it sort of sets the stage for what happens in Generation 5. So let's go along a little further and we get to see the festival. The Uni Festival was important because it is sort of a way that ponies were supposed to get together, remind themselves of why they're out here together. And eventually they did that lesson. That is what sort of led to them becoming more separate and eventually why magic was lost.
Balls. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and read this. Twilight's not in the way. I don't feel like he's reading it. So, he's kind of just giving his own little bullet points about this page of it. So, let's read this together really fast. Well, not really fast. Y'all know what I mean. Earth ponies, Pinkie Pie and Applejack, took their crystal to the furthest edge of the land, where the mountains met the sea. Unicorns, Rarity, and Starlight Glimmer. Oh, well, that is the main 7 at that point, so Starlight was involved. That was actually pretty surprising. Rarity and Starlight Glimmer took their crystals to the deepest depths of a forbidding forest, and Pegasi, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy flew to the highest peaks with their crystal. And extra layer of protection, Twilight did the cloaking spell, all that good stuff. This way, Opaline could never find them again. Okay, cool, fine and dandy. But here's the thing. With it being written this way in the Generation 5 Bible, this adds to the division that was there. This is primarily what created the division, in my opinion, is the fact that they separated and took their, they took their ball and went home pretty much. That Twilight's the one that caused the separation by telling them, hey, y'all separate. Okay, whatever. But nonetheless, as the years passed, the responsibility of protecting the crystals passed down from generation to generation. Okay, makes sense. The once remote Pegasi, Unicorn, Earth Pony communities established to protect the crystals began to grow and flourish during these times of prosperity and happiness. Virtually no pony realized that each of the 3 species tended to gather around their own crystal. The frequency of the Unity Festival began to decline as ponies got busy and focused on their everyday lives. The less they got together, the more they forgot why they were getting together in the first place. Eventually, the celebration ceased altogether, magic was never recharged, and eventually faded away from the hidden world, and in turn, Equestria completely. And magic gone, that now means that oh my gosh. I don't get this writing with this. I get it that it's just a show Bible and all that stuff, but I don't get this writing. And I need to stop pausing so much and commenting on it, but the writing just doesn't make sense. Hey, let's separate y'all two, have y'all go over here. We're going to take y'all two Y'all go over there, and y'all two go over there. Yeah, y'all are all different species of, ponies, but nothing bad will happen. There won't be no division created because of that. No, not at all. Whatever, though. Whatever. It is just a show. I don't need to overanalyze it too much. Let's see if we can go a full minute without pausing. And play.
Very, very important thing here. But let's go into the characters. We're going to take a look at them briefly. We know the characters, but there's also a few things that make them a little bit more curious even. So Sunny, besides being who she is, also has a bunch of relics. She has Groger's Bewitching Bell, Celestia's Key to Mark Tapestry, and a bunch of other artifacts that she has at home. So she is a pony who's been hoarding a lot of power, like Opaline correctly understood. Down here we have some quotes, also really cool, and Hoof to Heart apparently is sort of the thing she came up with. Let's go to Hitch Trailblazer, who is...
Pause. Yes, I do want to not pause so much, but hey, it's a commentary video. This is what we're doing. Nonetheless, though, okay, so I had no idea that she had all that stuff. Star Swirl's artwork, she had Twilight, did it say Twilight's Journal? Grogar's Bell? I honestly don't remember that stuff, but hey, it is what it is. Let's go on to Hitch, see what's what on that. Sparkles with kindness. Alright, I like it, I like it. Let's play.
Is the first stallion, I believe, in any main cast up to this point, which made him special. But also, we get to learn a little bit more about his personality. He doesn't show up much ponies, which is sad. And he apparently likes potatoes and likes jigsaw puzzles. And his favorite code is code 33, which means no littering every pony. So down here, we learn about Sparky and how they get together. And it was sort of their version of the Mandalorian Baby Yoda. So it's interesting to see how they took peeks at other things and were like, we could do something similar. Always really cool. But down here we have a little bit of a big thing on Hitch here. With besides him being the first male cast in the show, he was a more he has a conventional side as a sheriff, but they wanted to focus on a caregiving and nurturing side as a caretaker and community helper. Very curious to see that. But let's go over to the next one, and arguably my favorite, Izzy. She was a very curious and wacky pony who doesn't always explain things clearly, and I have to say this is something I relate to. I prefer doing rather than saying. And she hates alarm clocks and that thing when you wake up and forget your dream instantly. Couldn't say it better.
Balls. Okay, hold on. As he was talking, yes, I should have paused, and I was actually going to, but I didn't hit the button right, honestly, if I'm being real. But I had to pause because as he was talking, I was also reading, some of Izzy's stuff. But before I do that, Hitch, yes, I do agree that they were showing his caretaking side a little bit more when it comes to the animals and being able to, speak with them, pretty much understand them, not necessarily speak, but understand. But I was reading and it says under the likes for Izzy here, okay, naps, everybody likes a good nap. Balancing things on her horn, okay, I can see how that's a pretty cool little trick. A good sneeze. I thought to myself, that's odd and funny. But then I thought to myself, that's relatable. That was relatable to me. I like a good sneeze. I don't know about anybody else, but when you sneeze, you could feel that sneeze just building and building and building. It's so disappointing when you have that sneeze and you could feel it right here. And it tickles your nose, and you twitch it a little and try to sniff it out, but it won't come out. It's so freaking disappointing. But then, when you're in that moment, though, and it does come out, oh my gosh, it's so satisfying. So I agree. I like Izzy's right here. I like that she likes a good sneeze because it makes sense to me. I relate to it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. That well, yeah, I am a weirdo, but that's besides the point. Let's continue and play. Darn. Cartoons teach us second chances are always available. Let's try that play button again.
For
Play.
myself. She also has a bunch of special items here. Look at all this list. Then she's a master crafter who follows her heart. She also came up with the whole unicycling thing. Very, very cool. And here's a new thing, something I didn't know, and that is that the cart she has in the first episode of Make Your Mark has actually gotten a name, but it is called Izzy Does It. It's quite literally the name of the cart. And here's what I think is one of my favorite things, because we've gotten to see this in the show, but it wasn't, developed even further. But Izzy is an expert dragon sitter. Izzy's great with animals, but in a different way. Her approach is more intuitive, like a Zen preschool teacher. It drives Hitch crazy. He knows when he leaves Sparky with Izzy, though, that he's in great host. She does things intuitively, and that's why I like Izzy. Sometimes you gotta wing it, even if you don't got wings. Also like her phrases. And here we have Izzy sharing her Bridlewood traditions. That has happened a lot in Tell Your Tale as well. TUES Secret Canter, you name it. There's been so many holidays. Let's go over to Pip Paddles real quickly. Here's something I didn't know. There's a fantasy novel called The Chronicles of Cavalia, something I didn't know actually existed, but really cool. But if we go further down here where it says more than meets the selfish, she apparently was involved in charities and other things. I don't think we heard of any about that in the show. Do tell me if I'm wrong about some of this. And Pip does, in fact, look up to her big sister. Also something I don't know if we've seen much directly, at least. And main melody is always a big one for her as well. The karaoke salon, also something that she made and is sort of her base of operations, ponies, away from Zephyr.
Awesome. Okay, so the gist of, Pip is the simple fact that, yes, she is a lot like Rarity. I don't know about the whole she was involved with. I could see her being involved with a ton of charities because she did do a lot of, you know, let's see, what is it? Not charity events, but there's another word for it. I don't know, but she's been involved with a lot of events and just kind of putting it out there. So I could see her being involved with a lot of different charities. Um, she's pretty much the Rarity of this group, though. She's kind of got her own little. She's got her own businesses. She's got her own, social media empire happening. She's got everything going for her, just like Rarity had. So I wish I could add more, but I honestly can't think of much more. So yeah, main melody and the karaoke salon, which a karaoke salon. Okay, okay, let's continue.
For Heights. Then let's talk about Zip with her big name. I think Pip doesn't have a name like that. Zephyrina. The pony personality, how she's pragmatic, the voice of reason. We especially see that in the first episode of Make Your Mark. And she shares her sister's signature of enthusiasm, which is really cool. Of course, her being more athletic and parkour, also really, really cool side. But we have some nice catchphrases as well. I think those are really, really cool. Sparky's also mentioned briefly how he's basically a bunch of trouble, but also important because of the dragon fire and how that sort of pushes the main story. It is the reason Opaline does some of the things in later episodes of Make Your Mark. Very cool. Then let's go further down into the characters, in particular Opaline. Opaline is very curious as a villain, and we learn a lot more about the Alicorn Kingdom of Skyros, and curiously enough, here it says that there was a leader in Skyros, a Rain Alicorn, and sort of the ruler of all the Alicorns. Very curious. But we also learn Opaline is older than Princess Celestia and Luna. She thinks that Princess Luna and Princess Celestia are doing it wrong. But curiously enough, when Princess Luna became Nightmare Moon, Opaline did develop a little bit of respect.
Pause. When he's saying that Nightmare Moon came around and Opaline started to respect Luna a little, I felt like there was a need for us to slow down and actually read some blurbs from this part. So that's what we're about to be doing here. Celestia and Luna as leaders who valued harmony, unity, and equality for all ponies. Opaline couldn't stand it. They were unicorns. Didn't they know they were born to be superior? For a brief moment, when Princess Luna became the evil Nightmare Moon, Opaline developed a shred of respect for her. But, of course, Luna became reformed like every other villain that came along. This convinced Opaline even more that she was the only one who could put an end to all this madness and set things straight. But they were strong, and they had each other. So, yeah, um, I might read that second blurb, but I know it has something to do with when the sisters retired and passed the reins to Twilight Sparkle. Opaline finally saw her chance. Twilight was talented at magic and had support of her friends, but she was an anxious and inexperienced ruler, always second guessing herself. That's interesting. She was an easy target, so Opaline left the Unicorn Land and began to take what was hers, the magic from every pony in Equestria. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so in my head now, so Opaline. Okay, so she stayed in Skyro and didn't come. Oh, see, what's confusing are is everyone born an alicorn in Skyro? See, a lot of this isn't fleshed out. Is everyone born a alicorn in Skyro? Calls if they are, okay, fine and dandy. But what happens when somebody becomes an alicorn, like Twilight did? Twilight for the first 3 seasons was just Twilight, a unicorn. And then after the 3rd season, that's when she was an alicorn. So does like a version of her take over the body of Twilight? It's probably going to be answered in the next few minutes for me, but let me just let this ruminate in my brain here. Hopefully that's a word. I have no idea, honestly. um, but yeah, so Celestia and Luna are younger than Opaline, and the ruler of Skyros ended up sending Celestia and Luna down to rule Equestria. I don't. I get the story. It makes sense in my head. I get it, but at the same time, it's like, come on, what? let's let's flesh it out. That's the problem with this, is it doesn't actually give us any fleshing of the story. It just gives us the tidbits. So yeah, let's continue and play.
Here we also see something I kind of hinted at in my Twilight Sparkle video, where we see that Opaline saw Twilight as a weak ruler, an inexperienced ruler, an easy target. And I think that was why Opaline decided, you know what, now that this new pony is trying their thing, let's try and break out. Very curious story, but also down here we indeed see that she cared to some extent for Misty, but of course, because Opaline doesn't really know what that means, she really doesn't have any idea, even if she believes she does. Let's go further, ponies. And that is her hench pony, Misty. Misty indeed was found by Opaline because Misty wandered off out of the protective bubble. Apparently there was a tear, a gap in the bubble, and that is how Opaline was able to find her and sort of take Misty into her own wings and eventually raise her to become her evil hench pony, as it says here. But more importantly, down here we have this red thing where it says how they were trying to integrate her, and indeed having the plan of Misty becoming the 6th main pony, and how she was going to go on a journey of self-discovery. And we do see some of that in Tell Your Tale as well in the new episodes, but it was interesting to see what they might have done if you would have gotten more Make Your Mark as well. Alright, we're coming to the end of this. We're going to take a look at some of the locations. Some things that we don't know so much about is the Crystal Bright House. It is a total mystery. And we see how Izzy made a lot of things, the cozy stuff, Sunny's kitchen corner, but also the Unity crystals. Very nice stuff there. We also, if we go to the very bottom here, learn about the prism beam. It also tells us that if, ponies start fighting, the magic disappears.
Pause. Okay. So yes, I am trying to pause a little bit less with, the end here, because honestly, if I get the words out of my mouth, I told y'all I drove a lot today, and it's rainy outside, and it sucks, and it's blah outside. But if I keep pausing where I think I want to pause, this video might end up being an hour and a half long, and I'm finding out that the sweet spot is roughly 30 minutes, so this is already longer than that sweet spot. So yeah, nonetheless, the whole I never liked the idea that, going back to what he just finished saying before I paused, I never liked the idea that the magic slows down and disintegrates a little bit if ponies start fighting. I never liked that, because it tells you that you have to get along no matter what, 100%. If you don't get along, no more magic. Equate ponies to humans. Humans are not going to get along 100% of the time. Me and my wife have been married for almost 17 years at this point. We do not always get along, so it does not make sense for a show to portray magic only existing within your relationship if you're only getting along. I don't know. I just, it always irked me. Let's continue. I might let this play out the rest of the way without pausing. It's only 2 minutes, so who knows? Let's hit that play button and play.
So there is more locations though. Look at this. Maretime Bay has a lot of sub-locations. That's an interesting one. We have the Crystal Bright House, the Sheriff Station, Main Melody, the Smoothie Cart that doesn't have a name yet. Very interesting. The movie theater is something they explore at the end of Tell Your Tale. Zephyr Heights and Bridlewood also have a lot of locations. Very cool, but in Bridlewood you see the art gallery. The most grand building in Bridlewood displaying all the most famous works of unicorn art. Don't think we saw that. Don't think we saw any of that. Would have been curious to see. Maybe they would have introduced that in a second season. So, let's leave Equestria, and that would be the Alicorn Kingdom, Skyros, of course. And look at how it says he will finally have a chance to explore this ethereal realm. There is a very good chance we would have gotten footage.
Pause. Before he goes away from the screen, I do want to actually read that. Alicorn Kingdom, Skyros. Okay. Almost a pony, Mount Olympus or Theraschema, i.e. Wonder Woman, unreachable by regular ponies. It's where Celestia, Luna, and Opaline all come from. A long-standing mystery in the MLP. That doesn't roll off the tongue that well, but a long-standing mystery in the world of MLP. There we go. But in this series, we will finally have a chance to explore the ethereal realm. Okay, that gives a little bit of extra, so I like that. And then there's Old Equestria from FIM the map. Ruins from locations like Canterlot. Okay, we didn't actually go to those. Okay, so I just wanted to stop long enough to actually read what that little blurb said. So there we go. And play. Darn it. Second chances, cartoons. Y'all know that saying. Play.
About that. Old Equestria, like Ruins of Canterlot, the Castle of Friendship, all those things. Then for Season 2 and 3, they were gonna broaden their look on the world of Generation 5 by expanding the universe and allowing them to start to explore new pony lands and worlds, hoping to protect them from other villains. Notice how we don't see anything about Allura and the Crystal ponies, but look how it says here. Some ideas, the Frozen North Aurora ponies. I'm pretty sure the Crystal ponies or the Aurora corns may have been inspired by this first idea. The other ideas, though, We do not see them yet. And ponies, this pretty much brings us almost to the end. One more thing I want to take a look at here. And that is some environmental nuances. We have pony foods. Look at this list of foods here that they eat. So if you ever want to make like cooking videos, we could try making some of this. And down here we see some pony lingo sayings that they're supposed to say. But with that, we're already at the end of this 36-page essay. A lot of things to see. There is probably a link in the description if I remember if you want to read through all of it. There is a lot to go around. Anyway, ponies, with that, I thank all you lovely ponies so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. And remember, ponies, we're going to take a look at some more unreleased stuff with Generation 5 going forward, so you seriously don't want to miss that. We're going to do a little bit more like this. It's pretty magical.
Okay, so now that I let him finish, at the end there, I did see on one of the last screens where it said one, because it was giving little things here and there, 1 year equals 1 moon. Okay, so that answered my question about, what's a year? Is what's a moon? Is a moon 1 year? Is it one this, one that? What's a moon? So 200 moons, that means Twilight ruled for 200 years. Okay, so it did give a lot of interesting little tidbits here and there. And my afterthoughts here are not going to be that long because I understand that this is already... I've been recording for like almost 50 minutes now. So I've still got to, turn in everything that I need to turn into, stuff for my job so that I can get paid on Fridays. So nonetheless, though, yes, that gives a lot of little interesting tidbits, and I do plan on actually getting his link. As I said, if you want to go watch his video by himself, you can also go to his description, if he remembered to put it in there, with a link so that you can actually check out the, 36 pages by yourself. I plan on going and checking out those 36 pages. Hopefully, I'll be able to find some tidbits here and there that maybe I'll be able to do some shorts on, stuff like that, because I still don't even know what I'm doing with shorts around this channel, honestly. I want to kind of clip farm, stuff from various videos I do, but at the same time, I don't want to clip farm. I want to do kind of shorts but I also don't want people to think that that's what the channel's about fully if I did little short videos, but I ain't gonna bog y'all down with what thoughts run through my mind during the day. But yeah, it gave a lot of interesting little tidbits. I think if it all could have been fleshed out properly from the beginning, then it could have been one cohesive story by itself. But it was never properly fleshed out, so we never got that cohesiveness that it needed. And in all reality, I still feel like if they would have focused on the story itself and creating a story around these main 5 / later on main 6, an original story for them without involving Generation 4 or none of that, then I think it could have been something that stood on its own. But due to the schedule, here's something I feel like was a hindrance for them, is they had Netflix scheduling and they didn't have regular old school television scheduling where you have a season of 26 episodes where you can have all these little filler episodes in there to just kind of goof around and do whatever you want to do, and then you can have these important episodes sprinkled in. There was a lot of episodes that were nothing but filler, but they still had them on Netflix, and that was a hindrance because the story felt like it drudged along so much that by the time they were finding their stride, in the later seasons, they were important episode after important episode after important episode. If they could have did important episodes all along, I feel like they would have really hit their stride and actually been able to connect with an audience. But, it is what it is. They were also trying to connect with the old audience as well, but also gain a new audience with, let's be real, they probably wanted to get rid of some of the old audience, i.e. people like me, bronies and stuff like that. But let's be real. Just get rid of the bad bronies. And I'm not going to mention names, but we definitely know there's a lot of bad bronies out there. So that's how I'm going to end it. Get rid of the bad bronies. Let's go ahead, passing it off to y'all. Hit that like, tickle to subscribe. Don't be texting and driving. Watch what you love and love what you watch. And take it away, Mr. Rogers.
I like you just the way you are.